IF from when they were SH in Stage 1 all the way to now is that this is a team, they don't do anything flashy. They play pretty standard Siege and nothing too crazy. A map like Club that is as figured out as it is and starting out with a Thatcher ban might have a ban phase that's pretty played out. Does this inherently favor IF, who just don't do anything crazy? They just play their game and Clubhouse game that,
I would
or
assume
map that favors
so.
that?
But we've seen them struggle in Oregon. Oregon's the same story, though.
That's true. That's a fair point.
That is an issue.
With Oregon at least on their attacks, I think attacks are a lot more difficult on Oregon. Not nearly the same for Clubhouse, even though Hibana being off the board makes attacking on Club more difficult. This is still a very standard ban phase with Amira as well. This is not new territory, not only for IF, but really for either team as well.
Yeah, I would say at least like for Oregon, it's still somewhat defender side, but we've seen Clubhouse start to shift as time goes on. We've seen more operators, put into the pool. So I would say, yeah, maybe they may have an easier time. Maybe IF won't have as much trouble doing the simple things here like they've done in the past. Where but you can see the Nocturne's game, they did have a better time getting those things done, getting those things on the checklist, getting those simple things done as quickly as possible compared to the previous game where they played Livid. So maybe this will be it. Maybe we'll see them play full standard. But the bans, yeah, they're pretty much the same as always. Thatcher, Hibana, Mirror, and Valkyrie.
Well, the thing with Clubhouse is just based on the way this map plays, not only is it a standard ban phase, a lot of the bans really aren't going to substantially change how this map is played. It might make getting to certain steps a little bit more difficult or make getting to certain steps a little bit easier, but Clubhouse is going to play like Clubhouse plays, no matter if you ban a Hibana or something else, whether it's a Lion like we saw in the Wichita Wolves game from last week. No matter what, it's going to play out pretty similar from round to round. Start out, it's a similar start for IF, starting out on that basement site, and from here, it's a fairly standard lineup. Got the Mute, the Mozzie, the Vigil, no Castle, but you still have Smoke and Number likely to, if you don't know, this extended roam on Clubhouse, a very easy counter is rushing the basement, just hitting the site very quickly. The Smoke and the Malusi, if they're able to get back to site quickly, are likely just countermeasures to make sure they can't get into site as easily or as quickly.
So I guess the question comes into play, is Panik Gaming ready to either, one, rush the site and push on the site, get that plant down, or try and thwart this roam clear by setting up cutoffs, by pushing those defenders out and getting those kills, or will they fall victim to wasting time and manpower, or manpower trying to get rid of these roamers on top floor? Well, let's see what goes on. We have Gotcha pushing towards, looking around to see if we can find buddies, see what's going on in this dirt tunnel, shooting over by main stairs, see if we've got any picks, and well, droning comes through from Panik Gaming, and it looks like they are droning at top floor and seems like they're figuring it out. But of course, with the Mute Jammers, the Mozzie pests, it should be difficult to really figure out what's going on, as Fet looks like he's going to put holes in the dirt and try and maybe scare the Malusi of Arrow, thinking that they're going to rush on a site.
Or probably just trying to make sure if there is anybody playing inside of dirt that they're gonna have to fight with Fet if they're gonna push and play aggressively inside of there. Also for somebody to watch the angle in case anybody tries to push on in. But this is just how a lot of basement attacks start. You open up that dirt wall with the Maverick to allow for rotations later on, and if you need to clear out the roam on the top floor, it usually starts over on that jacuzzi side. That wall's already been opened up, and as a response, IF have already rotated to that eastern side of the map. Subarctic downstairs inside of Lounge. Inrio starting to rotate down main. The only one left is Giddy on the Mute, currently playing inside of CCTV. And even he is still in a pretty good position to rotate back without much cost to himself or without putting himself at risk. There is one player currently sitting outside CC window. He's spotted by Giddy. He'll take the fight. Takes two fights, actually. Somehow comes away unscathed for both. And with that in mind, he'll immediately rotate off. Cut his losses because I have wasted a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think at this point they've kind of fallen victim to that roam game a little bit. They are down a minute and a half, and Giddy's still upstairs, playing on those red stairs. Looks like he probably will rotate down to those blue stairs back to site, I'm assuming. And it looks like they are Panik Gaming looks like pushing towards maybe a church take at this point. Can't really tell. They haven't. It looks like they opened up that kitchen hatch as well, so they have angles open. They have definitely things to start off in real though. Playing those main stairs, or actually play maybe from below, using those angles against the attackers. And unfortunately, there goes your, there goes one of your players. But there's a refrag from Fet pushing in quietly into dirt, creating maybe a bit of confusion for IF as they figure out what's going on for Panik Gaming.
Do have intel on one player, believe that's Arrow, currently playing inside the site. Don't think he spotted the drone either, but it doesn't really matter. Inrio is still down below, rotated down, holding his domain underneath that kitchen hatch. Arrow as well will stop Fettuccini. The one player who was a bit further away from the rest of the attack, now completely gone. Barring will manage to start bringing things back, stop the bleeding a little bit with that grenade, but look at this. Giddy's retaken Bar, currently holding with a shotgun, or that's Billiard specifically. That actually, I believe that's Giddy. Could be Vivid, I'm not too sure. But at that point, they'll just immediately rotate on down. Psychosis drops the kitchen hatch, but unfortunately the intel on Arrow's position comes a little bit too late. Psychosis and Barring, coming from kitchen hatch and main stairs, are looking the exact opposite way from Arrow's position. He cuts them both down, and IF take the first round.
Between a rock and a hard place, not much you can do there in that situation, but that round, unfortunately, it was Panic Gaming to kind of fall into the trap of that play. Is that, not many teams in A really will play that top floor for the lives. They'll play it just to waste time and waste utility, which is what Panic Gaming did. They wasted utility, opening up those jacuzzi wall, opening up walls, opening up angles, and trying to find these defenders who are upstairs. But because of the Mute Mozzie Vigil tactic, they don't really know where these players are at, and by the time they really flush out and take control of that top floor, those members have left. They've dropped back to the basement, dropped back to site, and they've wasted that time they needed to. And well, at that point, it was Panic Gaming to then go to work and try and create those angles for an execute. They opened the kitchen hatch, but it's Inrio playing below, playing great, playing from that hatch, to winning fights on those members who are on top of the hatch, trying to look downwards on him. Really, at that point, Giddy was in a position to flank too, so the members of IF had this, or not Panic Gaming had to push for an execute. Fed had control of Dirt, but he was a one man by himself trying to walk into sight. Not much you can do in this situation when the members from defense are all sitting behind boxes, waiting and ready for that push.
And for IF, that was, of course, with some missteps, some bodies lost, but in terms of the aggregate of that round, the net positives, it was really looking up for the most part. They played that defense about as well as you could. As you said, Benny, wasted time, rotated down, not much cost. And that was the worry the analyst desk brought up, was that IF's defenses are very strong. They hold very well. They rotate back. They know how to play all of these strategies. So if you just play into them and you don't give them any cause for concern, they're not really going to feel concerned all that much. Now, if rotating to CCTV, this is another example or another time for IF to demonstrate whether or not that's true, not only for basement, but for other sites in general. For Panic, this time, instead of Jacuzzi, this attack will start out on Plat Wall with Fettuccini looking to open this wall up. But of course, there are some attackers all the way over on Jacuzzi as well. Barring making his entry in. There are some defenders as well looking to contest this entry by Barring, and I believe they've been spotted. The question is, can Panic capitalize on these players stationed a bit far off the site?
Well, see, Barring's pushing in. Does he have the correct intel to push in with maybe a member with him to refrag? Looks like that member Arrow was, I think he was playing his best bear in position, but he's pushed back. He's just, caused a scare in Barring to cause him to hesitate. But he's being droned in. Gotcha will push in. C4 looked like from maybe a pre-play C4 may have tried to stop him from pushing into construction, but it was a bit too early. Will not capitalize, get a kill there. And at least that's his wall's open. Fettuccine done his work. Psychosis will open it up with that impact from the lifeline, and they've done the basics so far. The question is, can they control construction? Can they make this split attack work? As Gotcha looks to rotate and help out these members on the other side, push into construction and take control.
Right now, as you said, the large portion of Panic is on that construction side. So they'll start making their way down. Gotcha will attempt to nade from below. Unfortunately, doesn't find anything. My problem right now is there's not a lot of focus by Panic on that garage side of things. Raptors is still not only in the hold of the defense, but relatively uncontested by the attack. And that just gives them a powerful angle. But I say that, Psychosis manages, while repelled on that flat wall, to find Subarctic, the player, playing on those rafters. So now you don't have to make nearly as much of a concerted effort to rotate manpower and utility over. There is one player on the defense who's now rotated over. He's gone as well. There you go. Subarctic, or Psychosis, I should say, doing the most on that repel, taking down both Inrio and Subarctic. All from one spot at barely any cost in terms of manpower and utility. The smoke grenades finally flying out. Arrow also landing a kill on Nagacha. He'll rotate back up, but it's a 3v3. Make that a 2v3 as the situation suddenly changes for Panic. They've got to head straight on into construction, and Benny IF has these angles on lock.
Oh, Giddy playing aggressive. He'll finally get taken down, but jumping through the window, Arrow is ready and waiting to stop the push in the server window. It's now a 2v1. Barring what information does he have? He knows what's behind the bomb chassis, but pre-fire from Arrow, ready and waiting, and IF will take round number 2 as well. And Panic Gaming, they had to start there, but it did not unfortunately execute well enough.
Really thought the efforts by Psychosis just repelled on plat balcony were gonna be enough to send Panic over the top in that round because they didn't need to rotate over to Garage. Psychosis just got 2 free kills either in the site or on Garage specifically. So a key angle you need to deal with seems to be dealt with pretty well by Psychosis, just holding that angle. But there, the problem for IF was the rest of the players inside the site. You had Giddy going absolutely massive inside of Cash. He needed to make a play at that point because Panic were quickly swarming the site and would have taken and would have entried into the site pretty rapidly and pretty effectively at that point if they were able to play their trades properly, especially with Psychosis cutting the sites in two. So for Giddy to go massive there, he needed to do that, and the fact that he did made that so much more of a possibility for that round because Psychosis is stuck on the rappel, and the 2 players who are remaining to try to push on in, they have to push into these angles that now favor IF because Giddy's able to get those 2 kills. So great play not only from him individually, but also for IF sticking to their positions, helping their one teammate make that play, and once he regained that man advantage, not getting aggressive, just holding fast, and that got them the round win in the end.
5 seconds to insertion.
Well, on we go to Jim in bedroom for our next defense from IF, and well, they've seen them play aggressive here and there. We've seen them play disciplined. They've played quite a few ways so far, and well, we'll go on to this next site, and well, we see a little cheeky spot from Arrow putting that electrical right behind those speakers and stage, allowing them to keep that wall electrified over by Cash the Construction. Now the Fettuccine is going to go to work and open up that CC wall, but it looks like at this point Panik Gaming once again are going to tackle this roam game, or maybe just open up the wall ever so slightly to stop someone from peeking those surf windows. That could be the minimum they can do here, as it looks like Fettuccine just opened the bottom of it and someone could play that rappel. So the question is Panik Gaming going to try and tackle this together, or are they just going to do the little minimum that they can?
That's the question right now, but if they want to tackle anything in CCTV and Cash, wall's open in pretty quick time by Fettuccine, so they don't have to worry about that area too much. And with a couple players over on the Jacuzzi side of things as well, they're just opening up all their options to start things out so they can commit later on without having to rotate over and clear through utility and with a limited amount of time. For logistics right now, we have Arrow currently playing inside of there. He's got a C4 at a pretty solid position, but unfortunately for Panik, Fettuccine is the first one down. Giddy takes him off the board. Thankfully, Fettuccine already opened that CCTV wall, so a large portion of his responsibility is already tackled, but that's a set of nades and a backup hard breaching in case Oasis falls, so not something you're going to want to miss, especially if you start getting strapped for time later on.
Well, they also have that electrified wall between Cash and Construction, so without the Maverick, they can't open that up either, or even create a sight line. So they could be a problem if they are to tackle this, the CCTV Romeo. C4 comes up. Gotcha runs away at the perfect time. The grenade hits Arrow a little bit, but just a little shrapnel to him. He's still alive, playing Logi quite well and stopping Gotcha from taking control. Otherwise, what is Panik Gaming really? What is their intent here? It looks like they're trying to find a weakness here. No, Gotcha, no! He falls off the roof. He had a great angle killing Arrow, and unfortunately that won't happen. Well, Giddy will give his life away to Barring, though. That's different.
Yeah, I was about to say, I commended Giddy for not getting aggressive and standing fast in the previous round. Maybe took a gunfight he didn't necessarily need to there, trying to contest the player on Metal Balk, but it's still one body loss. Though I say that, with Vivid down as well, things would be a lot worse, but Inrio has managed to find Psychosis, and Panik have even rotated down and picked Gotcha back up. Vivid as well, back up and ready to head back into the fray, so what could have been a 3v3 had Panik confirmed the kill onto Vivid is now a 4v3 favoring IF, and now Panik, the attackers, have to push into Jacuzzi with not too much control in their hands. Gotcha low HP, the first one to fall. Subarctic as well. There it goes, completely collapses. 3 rounds in a row for IF. Defense is looking incredibly strong despite some sporadic gains by Panik throughout these rounds.
Yeah, it's been a little bit weird. Like Panik Gaming have found little bits here and there, but IF still looking very strong in that round. Definitely, it just seems like Panik Gaming, I'm not sure what the intent is, what's the idealing, because sometimes they open up these walls they look like they did the minimum. Just make sure nobody, peeks that server window, so someone like, Oasis or Barring can play that, that balcony and see if they get a kill on, well, Giddy, of course, as Giddy just swung that for the reason. So that was a good pick, but Psychosis gets killed out. Fettuccine loses life early as well, so you had no hard breaching, nothing to deal with that, that reinforced electrified wall between Cash Construction. You can't make a long angle. Gotcha as well was trying his best by himself to deal with Logi. There was nobody else really pushing into Cash because he was kind of just sitting on the hatch trying to deal with Arrow, who was playing inside of Logi. He could have gotten a kill there, but falls off the roof and just little mishaps here and there, and no real intent or real concentrated effort from Panic Gaming to get anything done.
I think that's definitely a good summation of that round, and also indicative of sometimes some of the problems that Panic have had so far. For Basement in particular, by the end of the round, after losing a few bodies and a member of the defense had actually retaken part of bar from the attack, they just decided to send it on down kitchen hatch, send it in through dirt, and send it down main stairs, but not so much as a coordinated play, but as just with a small semblance of teamwork between the three of them to try to make something happen, and they were all promptly shut down from various members of IF. And the real problem started here was IF extended far off the site. Panic played into that. IF rotated back down, didn't suffer a single loss in man count from that roam. And they wanted to win the round. This time around, Benny, they're actually all sitting on the site. Not nearly the same methodology in the defense as we saw from IF's first defensive basement.
And this time they're just trying to maybe hold off and make it difficult for them to push through. They have the Kokona stations of Thunderbird, and Fettuccine once again is opening up these holes, making it, giving a bit of scare the people playing dirt. It looks like Arrow on the Kaid is trying to at least hold off and try and stop them opening up hatches. I think he's trying to, Kaid trick that Moto hatch, but there's a thermite on the board, so it's pretty difficult to actually electrify trick a moto hatch with that available. Fettuccine just peeking through, nobody's really pushing him, and looks like Panic Gaming is gonna clear the top floor as per usual, make sure nobody's roaming, and they've done their diligence. They found nobody up here, so they can go to work, open these hatches, create these angles as Gotcha Boys as a sledge can just open up from below. But InReal last time was huge from below. He was playing as the vigil from below and getting kills on members through that hatch. So hopefully once again we'll see if Panic Gaming cannot have that happen from this time.
It is good for Panic in that they're not, since there's no time wasting from IF early on in the round, they can just quickly move on in, start using their hard breaching utility, opening up these hatches, using their sledgehammer breach charges to open up the floor. Pretty good start for Panic, but as we saw from that last gym bedroom defense, and as Benny pointed out, they still suffered a large amount of problems with clearing out these defenders on the site, especially if they lose a body early on. This go around here, they haven't lost a body yet. It's been a minute 30 seconds. We haven't seen any direct action. I say that Gotcha does take a little bit of damage, but if Panic lose a body, even though they've got all this progress early on, they lose one body, it seems they really struggle to transition into an execute from there, and even then, they're still taking a lot of time to try and get to that point.
Well, Psychosis here just kind of sitting down, looking down blue into Generator, looking for a kill, sees the head of the Jaeger of InReal, peeks out for the moment. InReal just kind of confirms his presence and, tells his team, hey, there's someone on blue stairs. So it looks like kind of indicating what the play could be, because otherwise, what is Panic Gaming's play? Fettuccine has dropped into Moto, needs to maybe push through and maybe open up that main church wall. Flashbang comes out, but otherwise, are they just going to push into site and try and take fights with the members of IF? There's a shotgun ready and waiting for Vivid around the corner, so it's not a great play for Fett. Like he's walking in, the shotgun, it's Giddy actually with the shotgun, he just shotguns Fett. Down goes one player, a second goes down, Giddy gets two, Gotcha's did a refrag, but the play behind Jen is still there. It's InReal to refrag.
This is the issue here. Nobody from IF is giving away any picks to Panic, and if they do take a fight, it is one where they are in the advantage. The smoke canisters choking off Psychosis' entry into the site and barring a world away from his teammate, now put into the grave. It's likely 4 rounds in a row for IF. InReal finishing off one, trying to get the pistol onto barring. It's Subarctic to finish things off. 4 rounds in a row for IF, and Benny once again 2 rounds in a row. Panic gets some of that control early on, but when it comes to clearing out the players inside the site or around the site, they struggled and then some.
They have extra thermic charges left, and I guess the wall probably is muted, actually, nothing about it, so they probably couldn't get the main church wall open because it was muted, and they maybe didn't have grenades left to deal with it. But again, it just seems like, what was the plan there from Panic Gaming? Was it just to push on site? If they were to push onto site, onto church, they need to deal with the shotgun around the corner. They got to deal with the person in blue, and it wasn't quite synchronized enough where they could walk into blue, because Indru gets that refrag even though they killed the mute, because it was Gotcha pre-firing from the top of secret stairs, or from, actually I think he pushed oil pit into blue and gets that refrag, but because Imrio wasn't dealt with behind the generator. Imrio gets the refrag, deals with the person on blue stairs, and really that whole entire attack kind of collapses. That they really weren't able to make any real headway into church.
Not opening that wall, allowing Giddy to play as aggressively as he did, that was just the start. As you said, that began and was the genesis for the tumble downwards, the spiral. That was Panic's attack, that go around. In this round in particular for CCTV, it was another example of Panik actually getting 2 kills. 2 kills to start things out that were not traded by IF, and they still ended up losing the round. Psychosis, on that flat balcony rappel, killed 2 people, one inside the site, and I believe the other on garage rafters. But at that point, Giddy was able to make a play, win 2 gunfights, and then IF stuck to their strategy. They played their positions, played off each other. Once they got those picks, they didn't give any away to Panik, and they ended up winning the round because, once again, Panik, they struggled to mitigate and take down the players anchoring inside the site once they needed to execute. And now, it's a lot harder, because that player I just mentioned who got those 2 kills early on, he's the first one dead for Panik.
Oh! Arrow sitting on top of the desk. That's gotta be a scare for Fettuccine. It's like Siege is a horror game sometimes. Well, can he get out of this? Can Arrow get away from the situation? No, it's Gotcha to finish him off. Gotcha switched off the sledge onto a Twitch, F2 in hand. But, you know, you're already down 2 members, both your Maverick and your Zofia. So getting open that main wall, that plat wall, is going to be, not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be very difficult. Because all you have right now are grenades to try and deal with that Electric Claw, or Twitch drones to try and deal with the Electric Claw. And I'm assuming the members from IF are ready to shoot those Twitch drones at a moment's notice and not allow them to just walk in and shoot those things up. But we'll see what happens as we go into the last 2 minutes, or the remaining 2 minutes. And, well, are they going to try and rotate towards gym, or not gym, to garage or something like that? Or are they just going to try and deal, or try to push in without the necessary, utility to go through?
This is sort of the difficult spot, because their player who opened that CACT wall previously was Fett. That is now dead. So, those cage charges that are on that wall, you're going to have to nade them down or find some way to get them off the board, and it's the same for the construction wall as well. So, Oasis's impact in this round, unless they can take those down with the little manpower they have, is likely going to be minimal, because it's going to be a lot more difficult to either get the Electric Claw wall off flat wall or off construction wall. So they're kind of forced to push through these doorways, but it's not working terribly so far, all things considered. Barring able to find the kill on Giddy, he was the one who went huge in that first CCTV defense by IF, and he's found a second as well. All of that impact gain early on minimized, but Vivid gets his first kill of the round, able to hold off the entry from construction just a little bit longer. 2 smoke canisters as well, 1 remaining. That's 10 seconds of denial still left in his pocket. With 50 seconds left, he has to be careful about how he decides he wants to use this, and also how he wants to play off of Inrio, because it's a 2v2 now. Can't do anything crazy with 1 rotating over to garage, and now Vivid the only one left. This might be Panic's first round.
Oh, Vivid's got a situation. He's got 1 smoke canister left. He's going to spring it onto Waits, try and stop that plant. Gotcha has his cover, though, as Gotcha's playing Rafters. Gotcha pushes back for a second. He sees the head of it for a second, and Vivid, unfortunately, Gotcha gets shot from the back. Also, remember, going red, and it's Panik Gaming take the first attack here, as they're looking like you'll still see an IF round.
Yeah, I was expecting I have to go up 5-0 there, but if you have to put the success of that round on anybody's shoulders, Barring went huge that round. We didn't see it, but he got 2 kills at that construction doorway. Getting 1 kill there, based on how that side is set up, and based on the control we know that Panik didn't have, that is just impressive. Getting 2 is another thing entirely. Barring getting those 2 kills from that position, sure, he was eventually taken down by Vivid, but that still opened everything up, because he took down the 2 players playing inside that site. Vivid is now by himself alongside Inrio, who was playing and eventually rotated to CCTV. By putting themselves in that position, that enabled Gotcha and Oasis to then 1 rotate to garage, and the other able to get the kill on the player playing inside the site, then move on in and get to a position to put that bomb on the floor. That was a team effort by Panik, relaying intel to Barring, or maybe it was just Barring winning those gunfights, but he's the player that I definitely want to point to say started that win for IF in the late round, or for Panik in the late round.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, because I think one of the first player was playing behind green box, I believe. So he dies, and the other player was playing Rafters, who had the crossfire. So the fact that Baring killed both of those players in crucial positions is huge. And then the fact, of course, then, Oasis gets that kill on Inrio was playing on site, leaving Vivid in a 1v2, and Gotcha made a great play to go by Rafters, and then it was, Oasis rotates to the serve window, a great end to the execute Neo, great IGLing, I'm assuming, and great plays from Panik Gaming to salvage that round. So we go on to our last defense of the half. We go back to Gym Bedroom, where this round was kind of a mixed bag. It was a lot of different angles from Panik Gaming, no real confirmed intent, where they're just trying to pick and pack, try and figure out what they can do here against IF, and they really couldn't find anything in the end. Those members getting picked off one by one, trying to push in their solo engagements or maybe duo pushes. So let's see what goes time in the first start. It's gonna be opening up these hatches, opening up these walls, getting angles on members who might be playing aggressive on the side of IF.
From here, same start as we've previously seen from Panik, opening up that CCTV wall, likely rotating over later on to open up the jacuzzi wall, though I believe previously they used the Maverick torches on CCTV and then used an exothermic on jacuzzi, but this time they've actually did a little bit of both. They destroyed that mute jammer thanks to Fettuccine on the Maverick and then used an exothermic to open that up. They'll also rotate over, open up that jacuzzi wall as well. So both of those primary and necessary entry points for the attacker opened up fairly early on, minute 20 in. But this was exactly where Panik got last time, and it was at this point where things started to spiral out of control. They lost Fet, they never really had any consistent control or control of any kind at various places inside, but now Giddy decides to run out. He wanted to get aggressive on Baring playing Metal Balk, and both times he did that, in the previous gym defense and this one, he's died.
That's it's not a great start to lose him, brother, but though there's still time is running out though. So even though Giddy did die, the time is still ticking down for Panik, and it's right. Question is now, where are they going to, succumb this attack? And a rotate from Inrio gets caught off by Baring. Great cut off by Baring to stop them. Gotcha jumps out now up the main stairs. He's probably going to rotate over to Logi Hatch, I'm assuming, to try and cut them off even more and help out that push to construction, I'm assuming. But Fed here is walked through the hallway, kind of scared of main stairs, but it should be cleared because that's where Gotcha just was. Now Gotcha on the Logi Hatch, gets a ping for one player, sees a down player, sees another one, but can't get the trag. It's arrow to refrag, but Fedchi's there to refrag again for him. Take 1-for-1, back and forth. It's all lone, is just subbed to get taken out by Fettuccini. Great job by Panik to end up 4-2 half.
Again, another round, 2 in a row, where Baring really kicked things off for Panik. Counters Giddy's run out, which if Giddy had successfully got that kill, denying Metal Balk control for the attack is incredible. Metal Balk is a very strong position for the attack to hold. So if you denied that, you'd probably be the person who maybe didn't win the round for your team, but heavily contributed to their success. But Baring's able to win that fight. On top of that, as you said, he catches Inrio on the rotate, a risky gunfight to take, but watching that position, he's able to counter Inrio rotating back to site. Now, at that point, it stops going from the Baring show, and it goes to the Panik show, where everyone showed up. They successfully clear out main stairs, so Fettuccini's play of crouch walking through the breach is well informed. To then hold a cutoff on the player inside of logistics, and combine that with Gotcha, they're both able to, well, almost get those frags. Of course, Arrow did 180 and kill Gotcha, but Fettuccini's there for the cleanup. He gets the double kill. That round was opened up by Baring, but for the final 3 kills, that was a great example of team coordination and intel by Panik Gaming. And while they are down 2-4, those final 2 attacking rounds, especially that last one, were really nice to see.
10 seconds
Hey,
left
it's a
before
great. It's
insertion.
4-2's not crazy of a clubhouse, and it's great to see Panik Gaming adapt and change up the strats and do better as we go along. We go on to their defense now. Then we go into basement. We go Church and Arsenal for Panik Gaming, and of course, it's going to be that same kind of roam game from Panik Gaming like we saw from IF. It's going to be there's no vigil on the board, but still the mute, still the Mozzie, and there's the castle to try and stop this line of sight to make it difficult for IF to push these players on the top floor. And the question is, will IF succumb to the same temptation of pushing that roam, of falling, trapped in that, losing time, losing manpower and or utility? So it looks like Vivid will be the first one to open one of those excellent charges, open up CCTV, and can IF fall to this? And will they get some kills actually? And the question is, will Panik Gaming, are they going to fall off as soon as IF begins that pressure, or are they going to fight for their lives?
Well, I already like how IF are starting this, because when initially IF implemented this defense and Panik Gaming were trying to counter it, all Panik did was open up Jacuzzi Wall, and it did push them back, but it pushed them back to CCTV where there was nobody from Panik to cut them off. this time, not only have IF opened up Plat Wall, they also have someone opening up Jacuzzi Wall. So when they inevitably start moving and consolidating and constricting the defense, there should, in theory, be players there on all sides to stop them from rotating down without a fight. So I already really like this setup from IF, and it's working so far. You can tell C4 sent out Psychosis on lower HP than he started out. It's already causing some concern and worry for the defense and some strife as well. They're all still alive, and they've wasted 1 minute 30 seconds so far, but IF are in a really good spot to take down at least one, maybe even two members if they can win their gunfights.
Well, they'll need to. With the time running out, they need to take these kills and roll it into an execute for IF. Sub sitting on this balcony, metal balcony, waiting for a kill, looking for a ping. He sees one. It's the one pushing between Gold and Logi. Unfortunately, couldn't not get the kill onto Gotcha. So Gotcha still flipping a drop from Giddy. Giddy drops right into Logi. He's taking that fight with Gotcha, but loses it. So now at that point, Gotcha still has control of Logi, but he loses it to Arrow. Psychosis still, great shot onto Arrow. Great shot on the Vivid. He takes two, and now down to the 2v4. No time left. He tries to run away in the dying minute, but he gets taken out by Sub Arctic, and now the time is run out for IF. The utility is in their hands. It's Enrio on the Ace, and you get Sub Arctic on the Yana. What really can they do in this dying minute with utility they have?
Not a lot, unfortunately. I really like the setup of IF's attack, but it came, and there was still a 5v5 with 1 minute 20 seconds left. Even if the gunfights went their way, there's still so much that IF would have had to do with 1 minute remaining. Now they have to do that exact same thing with way less utility. Subarctic has rotated down bottom main. Enrio trying to open up. I believe that's Church Wall. I think that's a good place to open up. You can deny Barring playing in that position. If they get this kill, that'll likely be one that can open up this entire round. But with 10 seconds left, Subarctic gets caught holding a nade in his hands, and it's all left up to Enrio. He'll rotate on in. Can't even land the shots on Oasis. Panik start things out. That wasn't really a crazy round for them. They just played their positions, and IF took a long time to take them out of it, despite their pretty solid setup to rout them out from those positions.
Yeah, I was like, Gotcha 1-for-1, which wasn't that bad. You still could have made it if you got in the 1-for-1 with Psychosis, but Psychosis has 2 kills, so it wasn't much of an even trade with Psychosis, leaving it to a 3v2 in the execute. And unfortunately, in the execute, they get CC2 all open, or not CC2, they got Church Wall open. They were going for the execute, but they couldn't deal with the first player who was right behind that bar. And I wonder, is that bar penetrable or not? Can you just shoot through it?
I'm not sure. For a long time at Siege, there's been things I was like, oh yeah, you can't shoot that, but then you can. But then there's things that you can't, that I'm like, oh, of course you can shoot through that, but you can't. So my inclination would be to say yes, but I also wouldn't be surprised.
Because it's made out of wood. Because they pinged the castle behind the bar, and rather than shooting through the bar, he pulled the grenade out, which I wasn't sure. I don't know what's going on there. I can't know the calls or anything. But unfortunately, I don't know if that was penetrable or if you could shoot through it. But that was kind of a section there where if they had pushed on a site and maybe gotten the kill, they could have maybe toppled that into a play. But unfortunately, they didn't really have the necessary requested intel to really make that play happen.
But the thing is, why were they even in that position? I'm left here wondering. They had a good setup. They opened up
Psychosis went crazy.
I don't know, Benny, because they opened up CCTV wall. They opened up Jacuzzi wall. They had somebody at Logistics Hatch. They had sub metal balcony. They had all of these positions. What happened? Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Because you had Gotcha. Gotcha got to trade this. Gotcha was a 1-for-1 trade, but Psychosis was playing between bedroom and construction, but for some reason they couldn't pinch him.
Well, it doesn't even look like they couldn't pinch him. It just looks like they had a really good setup, and I was constantly waiting for something to happen, and nothing ever happened. They were just sitting in those positions. And then, true, but then Giddy eventually just dropped and went and tried to do something with Gotcha. I don't know. It just seemed like they stalled out for a while and then just sent it.
Like kind of the story of IF, unfortunately.
That's true.
I thought it was somewhat fixed when we saw them play Oregon last week in Nocturnes, which they were playing a lot faster on their takes. But so far, this round they had a great start. So like you said, they created that web really well, but no one pushed into the web quite fast enough until Giddy said, "Screw it, I'm jumping right in."
Well, either way, going into this round, we also see Giddy moving to the Bucks, so a little bit of a difference for him. Just trying to make Arrow's job, the Maverick, open that wall a little bit easier. And again, Benny, they've opened up Flat Wall. They're rotating over to Jacuzzi. They're setting things up very well. But there are members of Panik spread throughout the map, not all 5 just sitting on the site. that need to be dealt with. And that's where IF struggled in the previous round. Giddy making his entry here. Thankfully, nobody is actively contesting master bedroom or gym, so he can rotate on through. But there is one down below, and if they have the intel, Giddy could find a C4 at his feet, and he'd be none the wiser.
Yeah, it looks like it's actually two below. One's playing in lounge and one's playing bar. And yeah, because C4 could... It's actually Psychosis on the gate because there's no C4.
He doesn't have
Gotcha's C4 though. So Gotcha could deny a plant if they go for that server plant later in the round. But it depends on execute from the side of IF though. So far they've gotten the plow open. It looks like they're going for a split take for the moment because nobody's really pushing garage. They are still joining. They're trying to figure things out. They're joining out bar. Giddy will see the Jaeger of Psychosis playing below. It looks like he'll drop to try and deal with them by himself. He has the intel technically to deal with them, but unfortunately the timing, he looks at the default cam at the wrong time. Psychosis swings it. Gotcha goes down to Arrow because Gotcha was trying to flank up main stairs. Arrow's ready for that flank. Otherwise, trades for trades, time's running out. Can IF still make an execute?
I think they can still make an execute happen, but the time wasted just by Psychosis, again, by the way, coming away alive from that, he was not punished. He can rotate back. It is a C4 taken down, thanks to IF, but now they have someone on Platwall who can hold this cross, but they're all trying to move it through construction. Sub will try to send a nade on in. Could get barring. Yes, it will. That is a huge kill. It allows Sub to jump in CCTV window a lot easier, and in fact, they might rotate their entire take to hinge upon that window. But there's Fettuccini. Not only that, he downs Vivid, able to swing out since everybody rotated over. Nobody's there to stop him from making that play. Inrio's rotated, then he's down Psychosis, but his bullets go wide. Panik answer back. IF got 4 rounds in a row. Now Panik, they've got 4 in a row. Whoever wins this next one takes the lead, and based on the trend, it's looking like Panik.
Dude, Fed had a 3K that round.
Okay. The round had already pretty much collapsed. There were some weak points again throughout for IF as well. Giddy's whole engagement with Psychosis, it appeared that they did have some intel in his position, but as you said, he looked towards the camera at exactly the wrong time, got taken down. They weren't able to open up construction wall as well. That likely would have made Fet's impact a lot more minimal because you have somebody able to watch that angle. But either way, again, it's been 4 rounds in a row for Panik. This is a good timeout from IF because they're able to think, gather their thoughts, and move on forward. Panik also has some time to talk about their strategy for Gym because they've won 2 sites in a row now. So while IF, they did have some time to recollect their thoughts. They know what site Panik are going to go to. They can talk about their strategy. Panik can also had some time to talk about how they want to plan this out since there's only one other site they can go to and they're not going to bar. So I think they really need to win this round because if they lose this, I'm not saying that's the game, but I think Panik are going to run away with it or start to and have the potential to at that point.
Yeah, I think it as well too. Unless if they win this round, I think it'd be even. They'll probably go to maybe overtime at that point. It'd be back and forth as you expect, as we've seen so far in this game. But really, yeah, if Panik Gaming can win this site as well, it's not looking good for IF. But we'll see what happens though. We'll see if they can create this execute. And we saw from Panik. Panik did kind of the minimum on this one, where they opened up the wall and they tried to just kind of deny this sort of window. Though it was different because they went 1 for 1 actually on this site so far in their attack. So I don't know. I've opened the wall into CCTV. That's the first step. But there's 2 players from Panik. There's 1 player in cash or between cash and construction. 1 player in red they got to deal with. Drones come through in Rio. Will not see someone in cash, but see someone at the doorway peeking through left and right. And the person on red, they actually could intel on someone in bar as well. So they have intel here to deal with these players and count out what they can do. Now the question is, can IF execute on it?
Well, Inrio will rotate down instead of playing up. It is a bit risky here. Since they did see the Goyo playing down below, he's rotated back towards main at this point, so it's not as risky for Inrio to play that position, but of course he's a bit by himself. And for IF, about 1 minute, 10 seconds gone now, and nobody's really entered the building save for Inrio inside of Raptors, but he's the only one, the exception on his team so far. The player red and the player inside of construction haven't really faced too much resistance or pressure at this point from IF. Over almost half of the round is now gone, and they've opened up Jacuzzi Wall, but Panik Gaming on their attacks did so much more at this point, and they didn't even do that much in the span of Gym Bedroom attacks. Now, they will start rotating over, dumping some utility in the site, but still a lot to be desired from IF so far.
Intel. Grenade comes out. Can it get the kill? Unfortunately, no. It won't bank off and hit that person behind the bed. And yeah, it's interesting. More than half the round's gone by. And like you said, IF haven't even pushed into the building. What is their plan? Gotcha's running out on somebody on the plat wall. And yes, he will get the kill in real. Deny the plat repel. And this point now, IF, what are they doing? What is their plan for this round? Barring will at least hold off. Well, actually killed Giddy, who was on the balcony as well. So left and right players from IF are getting taken out because of their inability, or not inability, but kind of just not really pushing through, not making plays happen. Grenade comes from Arrow, try to deny main wall or main stairs. Gotcha takes heavy damage from the grenade. He'll pull back. But Arrow's by himself on this push. Last player, other player from Sub, actually Sub's with him, so it's a 2-man push, but it's a 2v5.
And that's the issue. The player inside of Gym has a really good angle, really good position to play, especially with intel relayed to Oasis. Subarctic, the only one alive, will manage to find one kill, but he's the only one who's managed to find any success on Panik game or on IF in this round. One main stairs and one at the doorway to bedroom. Sub will manage to find one part of that crossfire, but the other part is what does him in. 5 rounds in a row for Panik so far, and it doesn't appear the timeout did anything for IF.
Yeah, they had the intel. They knew someone was playing between construction and cash. That was the start of the round. They knew someone. I'm assuming they knew someone was a red. I don't know if they did or not. They've droned them out, and they opened jacuzzi wall. They opened flat wall. They had people repelling. They had people on balcony. So the person repelling is allowing the person on the balcony to sit there and try and get picks on someone on site. You saw them try to throw a grenade on a player behind the bed. But other than that, IF really didn't do anything. They didn't go for a Logi push. They didn't, try to push into cash or push into red stairs and try to push those players back. They kind of just sat there and waited for Panik Gaming to make a mistake, which they really never did in the end.
So now Panik have won all of their defensive sites. That last one after a timeout, not convincing, not a convincing loss for IF in any way, shape, or form. The first basement attack that happened, if you recall, Gotcha managed to get a kill onto Giddy early on, and this was really a symptom of IF. They tried to push and play and clear out Panik's roam up top, but nobody ever really actually made an entry. They set up for one. They set up for a roam clear, but a minute and a half of the round passed, and eventually they just said, screw it, jumped down logistics hatch, and went 1 for 1, or in some cases 2 for 1 with Psychosis, able to get so many kills before he was eventually taken down. So for IF, it was another example of failing to get things started in a timely fashion and letting the opening duel go the favor of Panik, who, by the way, have won the opening engagement on every single one of their defenses so far, and it's usually been with a second kill after that. Or soon after.
Not against this stick. Let's see if we can get just the time. As IF, well, it looks like this time from the side of Panik Gaming, they're once again sticking to this roam game. Interesting, because IF changed up their stress when it came to their defense the second time around. They went for, a turtle defense, but this time it's Panik Gaming sticking to that roam, and Arrow's going to go to work as per usual, open up this jacuzzi wall, and that'll be the start of it. And someone's probably over by CCTV opening that wall up and creating that, once again, that web, trading that web, but whether or not IF actually pushes on this web and pushes these players back is the question. Actually, that wall is soft this time, isn't it, actually? I can't tell.
It is soft. You can just open that up.
Oh, and
look at
Psychosis
that.
just...
Well, that's a freebie.
What the?
So, it appeared that Psychosis was not anticipating anybody from IF opening up that door. Don't know if there was some misdirection, a call made earlier. After all, previously, Panik Gaming were able to rotate over to CCTV since nobody was really contesting that position all that heavily, but that go around, Psychosis was sorely mistaken. He was the one player that went huge up top last time in combination with the rest of his team just standing fast. But this go around, not only are IF able to get that opening pick the first time on their attacking half so far, the rest of Panik Gaming have all rotated back downstairs, and IF have plenty of time to start opening up these floors, opening up these hatches, and setting up for their actual execute this time.
Yeah, that's not a great start there. I don't know if they don't have reinforcements up, so I'm assuming they allocate those reinforcements elsewhere. But the question is, why are you going to play in CCTV if you don't have the reinforcements, ready to play that setup or play that roam? But we'll see what happens here. They still could go Panik Gaming's way. I have still to make headway into site, open up these walls, and make the way into site. There is one soft wall, though, for that tri-wall into church. That could be something that starts off, as looks like it is going to be a main section. But someone is walking up oil pit. I think it's the Malusi of Gotcha is going for a flank later in the round. And he's going for a long flank. This could be what ends IF's execute, or it could be what gives them the advantage. Barring with a great kill on a Subarctic, and this could be what happens. Oh, Gotcha's running across the map.
He is. He is completing the marathon right now, barring a second down on the site. The round might be over by the time Gotcha gets back. In fact, his impact might need to be massive because it's man advantage for IF once again. He rotates on in, but is anybody watching? No, they're not! He gets 2 of them! The diffuser as well! Enrio, the only one left, manages to take him down, but it's already after he got away with highway robbery. 15 seconds left. Fettuccine not only has Gen, but a C4 in his pocket as well. And Rio decides to go for the frags. He can't get the bomb down, not in a 1v1. Does Fed have the intel? No, he doesn't! Enrio is able to take him down. They stopped the bleeding IF for just a little bit longer. That was almost a round lost because of Gotcha's massive flank.
He was doing the marathon.
He was hauling, dude. That was as close to sprinting around. That was almost like
pit, up rafters, through CCTV, through cash, through construction, through bedroom, down the stairs. Doesn't go for moto hatch, goes down the main stairs.
Gotcha was the freaking little engine that could that round. It was just he did not stop for anything.
But yeah, that round was it was unfortunate Psychosis. That started the round of Psychosis did not. I don't know if he didn't know if he was expecting it. Maybe he was expecting it, and did want to run out on that player who was opening up, because I know Giddy's been playing Buck. They've seen that happen through the round, so maybe he expected Giddy to open the wall up, still have the shotgun out, and take advantage of that, but didn't know someone was behind him.
I imagine that maybe it was one of those things where it's like, it's been 1 minute and 10 seconds. If they were going to open this wall up, they would have by now. And
true, that could be true as well.
Not necessarily sound logic, but maybe understandable in that position. If it's been 1 minute 10 seconds, like, they're not going to. If they haven't opened up yet, I doubt they're going to. So maybe that was why. I'm not sure though.
Unfortunately, yeah. But either way, they get that first pick, and they rotate into opening up hatches, and well, they even had to open the hatches because hatches were already opened by Panik Gaming because they were invested into that roam, allowing it to pivot into a church execute, open the wall up. But it was barring. Barring was that kind of that wall that allowed for, or the hammer, or the anvil. The anvil allowed for Gotcha to be the hammer onto the attack, as Barring was holding his best right by the bar, by the vending machine, stopping the push for as long as possible. By the time, Gotcha gets in that play, though, it was a bit of a disadvantage at that point. It was a 2v3. They're going for that exit, going for that plant. Gotcha stops plant, gets those 2 kills, but unfortunately puts in a 1v1 Fett, and Fett doesn't have quite the information to stay alive against a Inreal with an AK-12.
Speaking of Fettuccine, for this side in particular, Fett was the big player on Panic's CCTV defense, because Barring was not Barring, sorry, I'm thinking of a different CCTV run. Fettuccine got 3 kills as IF were trying to enter into the site. IF managed to get a few kills early on, though it was still the opening pick gained by Panik Gaming. IF got an opening after they took down Barring on Rafters, but it was Fettuccine who killed every single player try to enter in, either from construction or from the CCTV window. So, going forward, Fettuccine is definitely a player they're going to want to look at as a powerful anchor on this site, but for IF as well, their problems were once again in the early round, because not only did they lose the opening pick to Psychosis, but they weren't able to acquire Rafters, control, or even take down the player inside of Rafters until about 40 seconds left, when they actually went in for their execute. So IF need to be a little bit more dominant in their control and their presence early round, which they thankfully managed with some presence on flat wall, and could manage to get with some pressure down below as well. But we've still yet to see it fully come to fruition for IF in the first half of the round.
Very true. Let's see what they can do so far. It looks like some shots go on. It's Gotcha rotating between bar and lounge. They'll take some shots, and it looks to be again a split take. They've opened plat up. They're going for construction now, and Vivid will open this wall up a lot faster than before. You get this wall open, it was, like you said, Fettuccine was the big person playing by green box, by the desk, and then his position has been, routed out, so he can't play that position anymore. Inrio, though, with the Claymore on the Gotcha, looks like Gotcha had to jump out onto Inrio, maybe from below. They have intel on the Fettuccine's position right below green box this time, though, so I wonder how long he'll be able to sit down there as the execute is coming through for IF.
But here's the issue there. They've lost that player on plat balcony and not a lot of time to rotate somebody over. They will do that. They'll send Arrow, but there's Fettuccine having his impact once again. Kills the player outside the construction breach. There's still 2 more sitting inside of construction right now with a hell of a lot of intel on the player behind green box. But this is the issue. Arrow has to rotate over. He has that kill. He's taken down Psychosis, and they've got Fettuccine as well. This is their opening. If they're able to minimize the player on red, they can start moving on in thanks to Arrow's rotation and the control and kills they've managed to get so far. Arrow will stop Barring from retaking control of CCTV. Oasis, the only one left. The one-man step between IF and match point. Low HP, 50 health taken down. Not able to see Giddy sitting on the green box. IF, They've stopped the bleeding so far. Just one more round will get them a regulation win and stop the stomp from Panik Gaming.
Oh, what a round from IF, and again, I'll say much faster one. It's faster than before, at least. They're able to get that plow open, able to get that construction wall open fast enough, and actually look for kills. Actually take the time to figure out weak points in Panik Gaming's take. They were, unfortunately, it was a bit unfortunate that they lost one player on that balcony. It was, I believe it was Subarctic or Arrow, I can't remember who was on the balcony. Inrio on the balcony, which they lose him early, but they move the play over there, move Vivid over there to take control and sit on there. And it was, in fact, just looking around Fettuccine, because Fettuccine, again, playing behind Green Box was huge around beforehand, and they were just looking for him. They pinged him so many times, they threw grenades at him, they were looking below, trying to find him. And finally, they get that kill on him. They go through, they pick him off, and at that point, with the man advantage in the favor of IF, Panik Game members had to push forward and take fights. So you saw, I believe, Barring swing plat wall to try and take some control back in their favor. But unfortunately, at that point, those members were ready for those fights. IF win those fights, and they take control of that round. They win that round out, and now match point. Looking to take in regulation.
Looking to take it in regulation. But the problem here, Benny, is this was, you don't recall, this was the most dominant victory for Panik Gaming in their entire defensive half so far. They lost one body, and it was impactless frag achieved by Subarctic in a 1v5. He got one kill, and that was promptly traded out by the defensive Panik. Going forward here, this was another example where IF struggled to get anything going. They opened up Jacuzzi Wall early on, but that was about it. And they also lost Inrio, and nobody was able to rotate over to CCTV to get anything going on that side of the map. So you had players sitting outside the breach, sitting outside Metal Balk, and sure enough, the defense, not only did they just stand still and wait, when they took fights, they were winning them, and completely stopped IF from entering the building. For going towards here, if IF managed to win this out in regulation, it will be impressive, but they have a large task ahead of them based on the precedent of this round. Or of this site, I should say.
Well, let's see how it goes far. It looks like, again, they're going to open up Jacuzzi Wall. As you said, the first step to this this attack for IF. And, well, the question will be, are they actually going to push cash? Are they actually going to work off intel and try and deal with these roamers? Or are they going to maybe just rush site? Because they haven't really taken the time to deal with roam so far on the side of IF. So I'm interested to see how they change it up this round as Arrow goes to work. Use that blowtorch to open the wall up, and the gotcha's below, actually, interesting enough. So I wonder if he's going to try and make a hole and kill someone from maybe dirt. Actually, Giddy just kind of taking a kill from, where did you get the shot from? Balcony?
Yep.
Oh, balcony. Yep, balcony.
Playing outside on Metal Balcony, and this was a position I believe that IF lost early on previously, so this is already a good start, not only finding Oasis, but downing Fettuccine inside the site. And now that IF actually have another opening, this is a good sign of things to come. In the 3 rounds they lost that opening duel, but this go around, the 2 rounds they've won so far, they've got that opening pick, and even when it's traded out, they're still able to gain momentum further and further in the round. Now, of course, they have that kill on Oasis, but what are they doing with it? Right now, it's not a whole lot. They're still trying to make something happen to that Jacuzzi side, but 2 members from Panik peek, and they both lose their fights. Psychosis and Fettuccine, the latter on 1 HP, the only 2 left. IF will take this moment, now with Sub's kill as well, to move into the site and strangle the life from Psychosis. Sitting inside of Logistics, he hears Inrio coming. He could probably get a kill here if Inrio's not aware of his position, but no, he can't even get one. It might have been a daunting task for IF, but a flawless round to end things off. 4 rounds in a row for IF, 5 in a row for Panik, and 3 in a row for IF to end this in regulation.
Oh my god, what a round from them, and much different compared to the rounds before that. Compared to the previous round of
It's a night and day.
Gym and Bedroom,
The complete opposite.
They were just taking fights left and right. They were winning every single one of their fights, and really it was definitely, I agree, night and day difference of change in that attacking round. So good job to IF, good to win the round, and really, unfortunately, they still kind of exhibit